American Nightmare has arrived. The son of a dream looking to realize his destiny in WWE. Multiple tag team and intercontinental championship reigns during his first run here in WWE. But now that the prodigal son has returned, Cody Rhodes has reached main event status.
The following is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing in at 220 pounds, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes!
Gentlemen, WrestleMania has just become
Konnichiwa, 皆さん。I'm Great Oka Unite Empire。今日は試合があった。そして彼がエンパイアの応援してくれるってよ。みんな、ブローキンテーブルポッドキャストよろしく。
I hear the battle cry under the devil's sky. The one-winged angel screams. It fuels my hopes and dreams. The best of us shine.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our reigning, defending, Broken Predictions champion, King Rome. How you doing tonight, sir?
We are a little over 2 weeks away from the second coming.
A little over 2 weeks away from the second coming, man. I absolutely cannot wait. You know, there's people shouting at each other across parking lots, just seeing each other in shirts. You know, our friend Christine Shining Polaris over on Twitter, she's getting yelled at by people in random parking lots saying the 17th. You know, so I can't wait, man. It's gonna be wild.
I would like to petition that we change the name of the podcast to the CM Punk Fan Club podcast for the next 2 weeks.
I don't know if we can go that far. We might have to give him a couple of months of a comeback to, first.
No, it's okay.
All right. This was a great episode of Rampage here tonight from San Diego. The crowd was, just as hot as they were from Dynamite. I was surprised they still had all that energy left. Were you?
I mean, good crowds usually keep it going. Philly had it, other good crowds, they tend to have it. It's not, I wouldn't say surprising.
No, yeah. So this episode of Rampage, I had one little thing to pick on before we start here.
Okay.
This was not advertised in any way, shape, or form to be a championship night of Rampage, and there were nothing but championship matches on this episode. I was kind of surprised when we got to the end of this that there was no a big deal made out of 4 separate championships were on here, and none of them were AEW championships.
They had promoted it as Championship Friday on Dynamite, and then also online. Yeah,
it must have just went straight over my head. I didn't hear it or see it, I guess.
Yep, they were billing it online as it was 4 championship matches, spanning 3 promotions and 2 continents on one night.
All right, when you're not on Twitter, I wasn't on Twitter at all today, to be honest. So All right, but it was a great episode of Rampage nonetheless, with 4 championships, none of them AEW. We started off with the AAA Mega Championship with Vikingo versus Commander and Dralistico. Man, this was, if you're a fan of lucha, like most of us are here, this match was incredible. This might have gone straight into my top 10 of AEW television matches, maybe of all time. But I mean, I was just in absolute lucha heaven in this match here. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think that this match just needed more time in the oven. I thought it was great. Don't get me wrong. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. But unfortunately, it's Rampage, so they only have so much time they can work with.
Definitely would have been nice to get 15, 20 minutes, have this on a pay-per-view one day, but I'm sure it's coming in the future. Vikingo, he pulled out all of his spots. I love how he hit like 3 or 4 of his spots back to back to back. I really enjoyed that. Commander did his rope walk, which I could see that a million times, and every single time my jaw is just in my lap, man. Like, I'm just in absolute awe of this. He walks the ropes and he does just the most absolutely gorgeous twisting. It's a moonsault, right? He springboards off and he goes backwards into it's a moonsault.
I mean, it's just kind of a flip.
Yeah, it's tough to even name that thing, but it's incredible.
I feel like it's usually one or the other. It's not always the same.
Oh, you might be right. You might be right. He might change it up, but it
More of
looked like a twisting
corkscrew, if
moonsault.
anything.
And he lands on his feet with this thing, and it looks effortless. I mean, this guy, Commander, he looks super young too. He's got to be in his early 20s. I'm sure the Coug's gonna throw his age out there for us real quick. But man, this guy was incredible. Vikingo hits his corkscrew reverse Hurricane Rana. I don't think I had ever seen that one before. And then they set up that table. I was all about it. As soon as I saw that table set up, I knew what was coming. Vikingo hits his 630 senton where he springboards off the first or I don't know how he does that, but he springboards off the rope from the inside of the ring to the outside of the ring and does a 630 senton through the table onto Commander. He gets back in the ring with Dralistico was trying to take advantage here. Dralistico picks him up for the power bomb, but Vikingo counters the power bomb into a beautiful lucha roll up, and he picks up the 1, 2, 3. And we are now at 547 days of Vikingo being the AAA Mega Champion. Coog says he is 24 years old for Commander, man. That dude in 7 years is going to be insane. But yeah, excellent match here. Vikingo picks up the win. Absolutely loved this match. Just this was made for me. You know what I mean? Coog, myself, this was just made for us,
Yeah, super entertaining match. Just 3 guys just going out there having a hell of a match. Like you said, it's a showcase of lucha libre, and it's a lot of fun.
Love it. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Let's go to the chat real quick and say what's up to everybody. We got Coach Nick, who was there at the Rampage taping live. Man, he still has no voice left. I bet you guys did a great job, Coach. Man, that crowd was A++ for sure. We got the Coog in chat as well. Michael Duke, welcome. It's always great to have you guys here. So next up was a video recap of Aubrey taking the guitar shot to the head from Karen Jarrett. And then we had Lexi backstage with Team TNA, including Karen Jarrett. And Lexi was talking about possible suspensions for Team TNA when Mark Briscoe showed up and said, no. There's not going to be any suspensions, because if you're suspended, then we can't whoop your ass. And Jeff Jarrett was like, who's we? And Mark Briscoe was really focusing on Carrot when he said whoop your ass. And so she kind of gets into his face as well. And I know Ed absolutely loved this. Aubrey Edwards steps into the frame, and it looks like we're going to be getting Mark Briscoe and Aubrey Edwards versus Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. And I am absolutely here for that shit. 100% gimme. I can't wait.
I think that there's I think there's way too many things that could lead to this not being good.
Yeah.
My expectations are definitely in check here. Um, it's See, the thing is like I don't hate Aubrey. I know that Ed does. I know that some people do not like Aubrey Edwards. Um, I also know that there are a lot of people that really love her. I know that you're a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
And I just find myself kind of in the middle. I think she's a good referee that does her job. I think it's okay for referees to be memorable and a part of the scenery. I don't think a referee has to necessarily blend into the background. It's like I think Bryce Remsburg is my favorite referee of all time,
Yeah.
and like that dude,
He's perfect.
he has his little things just like Aubrey does. When
Mhm.
when Hook has his match, it's always Bryce, and Bryce taps him on the shoulder like time to go, kid. Just all stuff like that.
Coach, you absolutely need to see this segment cuz it's not over.
Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't think that this was a necessarily. I thought the segment itself was fine, but I mean, I
Dude,
don't know if
I
I want
was
to.
laughing for minutes into the commercials after this. Like I thought this was so freaking funny.
See, I didn't find it
And
funny either. I think that I don't know if I want to see Karen Jarrett wrestle. I don't know if I want to see Aubrey wrestle. Um, I'm not a
it's
fan
just
of
going to
mixed
be
tags to begin with. I don't know. There's just a lot of things here that could go wrong. I mean,
I
I'm
agree.
all for the referee kind of like the referee trope where like they're standing up for themselves because they're tired of getting pushed around. I get that, and yeah, that makes sense. But it also feels kind of weird that like if they were gonna pull this trigger with Aubrey, why is Chris Jericho not involved? I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that's I don't know. So I'm not super crazy about this storyline. Um, I could be pleasantly surprised, but my expectations for this are below the floor, I would say.
So I agree with you not to get your expectations too high, and I agree that it could definitely wind up being bad. But in the spirit of, having faith in Tony Khan here, and Jeff
Sure.
Jarrett has literally not disappointed me yet the entire time that we keep doubting him all the time, and every time we're like, oh man, when are we going to stop doubting Jeff Jarrett? You know what I mean? Maybe they don't do a tag, maybe they just do something where the girls are involved in one way or another. But so you said I was an Aubrey fan, right? So I am an Aubrey fan, but I am not one that's I will admit when she gets overly animated in the ring, I'm not a super fan of it. But she has definitely toned it down recently. And there is nothing wrong with a ref getting involved in a storyline once in a blue moon. Like, when does that ever happen in AEW, So
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
okay with her getting involved in the storyline. And if it's done right, and which I hope it is, I think it has a great chance to be funny. Because to end this here, when Aubrey steps in, her and Karen Jarrett just kind of stare at each other for a minute. And then all of a sudden, they both just grab each other by the throats and just start choking the shit out of each other. I was dying. Me and Purpleness were laughing our asses off on the couch. I thought this was one of the funniest things I've seen in a minute. But I guess it didn't come across as funny on your end, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
I can't wait.
no, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was just it's not even that I didn't like the segment itself. I thought the segment was fine.
Yeah,
Um, I just don't have a lot of faith in in where we're going with this one. And I
I
don't
see
and
what
I
you're saying. I
don't
totally
usually
see what you're
malcontent Tony
saying.
Khan. I give him the benefit of the doubt more often than not. So,
But I mean, when we saw Aubrey take that guitar, that was awesome. You know what I mean?
well, yeah,
So,
it was great. Well, that's my thing. It really depends on how they're using it because they seem like they're going to a mixed tag here. And
yeah.
I just don't know if that's the way to do it. I think the right thing to do would be for Aubrey to have had enough. And it's kind of like the one spot, I don't remember who it was against, but it was like when Triple H was a heel, right? Like
Mhm.
a kayfabe heel. And he would always push around the referees and stuff. And at one point, I remember in a match, Earl Hebner's like, "No, fuck this," and he pushes Triple H back. That's the kind of spot you want to see a
Yeah, yeah.
referee stand up for themselves in. I don't remember what match it was specifically, but I remember it happening. Um, and I think probably a better spot. I think it would make a lot more sense for during a match, like they push Aubrey and Aubrey just decks Jeff Jarrett. You know what I mean? Or like I don't know. That's kind of more so the route I would go. I don't know if I would straight up do a mixed tag, especially with Karen Jarrett. Has Karen
That's what I
Jarrett
was.
ever wrestled? I know she was
That's
in
what I was
TNA.
thinking as well. And she's, she's getting up there in age as well.
Yeah, like for the record, this isn't just me having questions about Aubrey wrestling. This is also like what is the status in ring status of Karen Jarrett?
Oh, of course, that's my most concerning part. Like Aubrey's in the ring. I would venture to say more than some of the wrestlers. She's in there with, with them
Yeah, obviously
3 times a
she's
night.
referee. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, we'll
I
see.
see what you're saying though. I totally get it that it could go south real quick, but
This could be the type of like, where do you have this match? Like, is this a marquee Dynamite match? Is it this is a Rampage match? This feels like a Rampage match.
yeah, for sure. Now, like next week on Rampage or something like that, never know. We'll see.
I don't know.
All right, next up we had the New Japan Pro Wrestling Television Championship. Action Andretti challenging Zack Sabre Jr. Man, I think I've said it a few times here, but Zack Sabre Jr. just reminds me so much of Bryan Danielson. It looks like he mirrors his style tremendously with all of the joint locks and the different submission holds throughout the match, and it's just really brutal. Looks like a shitty time for the opponent. But this was a really good match. He was just torturing Action Andretti for a lot of this match. Towards the end, there was a 15-minute time limit on this one. They started talking about reaching the time limit. I actually thought they might go to time here. The crowd started chanting, "This is awesome." And just before that time limit, I don't even know what to call this submission, but Zack Sabre Jr. puts on this just absolutely disgusting. He had both of Action Andretti's arms tied up behind his head, and he was using his legs to like crank down on him. I don't even know what to call it. It was absolutely disgusting and brutal, and Action Andretti had to verbally tap out. He had to say, "Yes, I give up." So Zack Sabre Jr. retains his championship in a great television championship match.
Yeah, this is a really awesome match. I mean, Action Andretti really kind of stepped up here. I thought it was a great match from him, and Zack Sabre Jr. has just been incredible too. We've been really lucky to be getting him in the States on a Ring of Honor and now on AEW. He's I'm a big Zack Sabre Jr. fan. I think he's great. He's just such a great technical wrestler. Like, man, I can't wait for him and Danielson to go at it. I don't know
Oh,
when
for
it's
sure.
coming. I don't know if it's a Forbidden Door match. I don't know if it's an All-In match. I don't know where it's happening, but
I hope it's a Forbidden Door, because that's where it was supposed to happen last year, kind of rumored. Because you remember Zack Sabre kind of challenged him, but then nothing came of it.
right.
So
Yeah, I
I,
don't
I
know. I
think
mean, we're gonna have to see what happens. I mean, obviously the build to Forbidden Door technically began tonight with a lot of New Japan talent on Rampage. But I mean, looking at it, looking at the calendar, we got about 3 weeks, 3 more shows to go. So I mean, you have to think that we're gonna see a lot of New Japan on Dynamite on Wednesday.
yeah. All right, next up was the New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Strong Championship. We have the champion Willow Nightingale defending against Emi Sakura. And if you guys don't know, this is the championship that Willow Nightingale won from Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks. I believe that belt was made specifically for Mercedes Moné, right? Like she was supposed to be the one to win that match, and she got injured in the match. She broke her ankle. So, they called the audible and Willow won. But that belt is absolutely freaking gorgeous, man. It's got like that purple gemstone on the top. It's got a lavender purple leather. Obviously Purpleness likes it because of all the purple in it, but it really is a gorgeous belt.
It really is, yeah. And obviously, it's unfortunate that Mercedes got hurt, but
Yes.
this was a star making, like, it's one of those best. It's like a good accident or it's a good misfortune because
Yeah.
Willow just complete star power, which we've been talking about on the show for however long we've been talking about her, and just she's killing it. And to win this belt and now come and defend it on AEW television on Rampage against Emi Sakura, who people need to stop sleeping on Emi. So underrated. Um, but yeah,
Yep.
this was a great match with both of them. I would also like to point out that it's definitely not a coincidence that we are suddenly just name dropping Mercedes Moné back to back on weeks on television.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think there's something to that, but
Yeah, they're definitely. I hope so. And I think we were kind of assuming that she was going to be at Forbidden Door, Mercedes, involved in some way, shape, or form.
mm,
Hopefully, they can still get her involved. She's got about a month left to heal up. But I'm not talking about physically at all, but just to show up and maybe challenge somebody or just kind of show up somehow. But I'm not going to keep my hopes up for that one.
right.
So this was a great match here. Emi Sakura and Willow just absolutely stiff. They were just beating the crap out of each other here. This was a great match. Emi Sakura hit a really awesome twisting Vader bomb for a 2.9 count. Both ladies basically took each other out with a bunch of clotheslines into the center of the ring. Willow pulls down the straps after a big cannonball and a pounce, hits the Doctor Bomb for the 1-2-3, and retains her championship. This was a great match, like we said a few times here. And I will be one of the first ones to admit that back when AEW first was around and Emi Sakura was, she was one of the workhorses of the women's division. I was not a fan, man. Like, remember, I used to be like, oh God, just, put out her students. I wanted to see her students more than her, but she has absolutely won me over this past year, maybe even two. I'm a huge Emi Sakura fan now, so you could call it the flip flops or what, but she's absolutely won me over this past year. All right, next up we had the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, Katsuyori Shibata versus Lee Moriarty. And man, I absolutely love Katsuyori Shibata. This dude is incredible. I am so happy that he is even able to be in a wrestling ring again. I believe he had some sort of a brain injury that he had to be operated on, and the odds of him even wrestling again were extremely slim. So it's amazing to see him in the ring every time. And man, it's just a treat with every match we get to see of his. And have you ever heard this rule that they announced at the beginning that anybody that interferes in the Pure Championship match will have their contract terminated from Ring of Honor?
Yes, they've mentioned it before. They don't mention it often
Yeah.
because it's not super relevant, but they would argue that um Lee's got friends with like Big Bill and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
Sure.
that is a known. At least I'm pretty sure. They've definitely said it before. This isn't the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, I know
Um,
they've said there was some sort of punishment for interfering, but this time my eyebrows went up. They were like, "We'll have their contract terminated." I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Big Bill ain't doing shit," I guess.
yeah, keep it
So that
pure.
was cool. I like that. It makes you kind of just know you're gonna have a pure wrestling match. So I really like that they kind of hammered that home there. Shibata is just brutal, man. He just absolutely brutalized Moriarty for this whole match here. Just like a Danielson match brutalizing somebody. They did let Lee get in some offense. He locked in the Motor City stretch onto Shibata. But Lee Moriarty, he actually had to use all three of his rope breaks before he even had a chance to put Shibata into that Motor City stretch. And Shibata counters Moriarty into a sleeper hold and basically puts him to sleep and then just drops him in the middle of the ring. And I don't know what you want to call this, but he just lines him up like a penalty kick in soccer and just absolutely just field goal. Just kicks a field goal with Lee Moriarty and picks up the 1-2-3. This was an absolutely incredible match. I love Shibata. There's just nothing else I can say about that. And Daniel Garcia's music hits, and he comes down to the ring and has a face to face with Shibata. And, he is a former pure champion as well. And he looks like he is going to be the next challenger for Katsuyori Shibata. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup to have the wrestler versus the sports entertainer.
Yeah. So I have one more little nitpick here. It's just something I want to throw out there. It's not a big deal, but Shibata versus Moriarty. And we had Action Andretti and Sabre Jr. I felt like those were two extremely, extremely similar matches. You know what I mean? Like Shibata, the champion, and Sabre Jr., the champion, both have that very similar style, like Bryan Danielson, of just, submission after submission and just
Hmm.
brutalizing you. I was kind of surprised that they had those two extremely similar matches. And even the finish, Shibata, even though he finished with a pin, he did just kind of choke Moriarty out with a submission and then slumped him. But what did you think? Did you even notice that at all?
No, not really. I think that I get what you're saying, that they were kind of two similar matches. I mean, if pro wrestling's a little too much for you, Jeff, if the graps, a little too much for you, too many graps. I know that there was a show on tonight from 8 to 10 on a different network that would probably be a little bit more your speed. Um, so
I'll
you
be
could probably
honest,
look
I
into
didn't
that.
see a minute of it. So,
Yeah, sure. Um, no, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't think it
no,
was that big.
no, it wasn't. It was just something that kind of clicked in my head. And I was like, I feel like maybe I'll mention this. But this was a great episode of Rampage. 4 championship matches. All 4 of them were freaking awesome. I had a blast on Rampage tonight. This is one of the reasons that people should be tuning into Rampage. And I can't wait until the 17th when we start getting live episodes of Collision.
Yeah, I think that this was an excellent episode of Rampage. It's exactly what you want Rampage to be, I think. There wasn't a lot of story progression, obviously, tonight. I mean, there was 6 segments and 4 of them were matches. Um, actually, technically 5 segments. I just wrote that there was an extra one because they mentioned CM Punk.
Yeah.
But really, it was 5 segments with 4 of them were matches.
Yeah. I was gonna
So
say that too. There was a lot of wrestling tonight. Only like one promo thing, and that was that backstage Aubrey and Team
right,
TNA.
right, and excuse me. um, sorry, I haven't been sleeping much. My car is totaled, so I need to get a new car.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah, amongst other things, I'm worrying about. But anyways, um, it was a really good episode, and I would like to see Rampage be this more often, where it's just like like I don't want to say it because obviously they're doing Ring of Honor with Honor Club, but what you're doing on Ring of Honor is what you should be doing for Rampage. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to take away from the Honor Club and take away from Ring of Honor. But at the same time, I mean, you're talking about an hour on national television that you're doing, regardless of the time slot. I think you kind of
Yeah.
got to do what's best for that deal.
You know,
And
I
like,
think they could pull a fast one on everybody here, and we could get on Friday night AEW's Ring of Honor Rampage. I really think they could switch it up and catch us all off guard with something like that. You think
I don't,
that's a
well,
possibility?
I think it's more of a Warner Brothers thing. I think they prefer to go with the AEW branding.
Well,
They're
that's
okay
what
that
I'm
Tony
saying.
Khan operates Ring of Honor, but I don't think that they care for the Ring of Honor brand.
But they
Um,
got to understand that it's a lot of the same wrestlers. You know what I mean? Everybody knows the wrestlers they're using and stuff like that. So
Sure, but
just, you
you
know,
gotta understand that like WBD, like yes, they believe in the people in the company, but they care about the brand. They see the brand that Tony Khan himself has
yeah.
created in AEW, and they are buying into that. They're buying into Tony Khan and they're buying into the top talent in the company, but they're buying into the brand and the premise that is AEW. And
Yeah, I
so
gotcha.
it's just I don't know. They don't trust the Ring of Honor brand as much, and that's understandable. I mean, Ring of Honor has been around for over 20 years, and while they are very important to pro wrestling fans, they never hit that level that AEW has. Like you could even argue Impact even had their 15 minutes of fame where TNA kind of started to go up, and TNA had that hot period a few years back. Oh, not a few years, more than a few years. But Ring of Honor, they never really hit that high. I guess you would say them running the Garden with New Japan is their biggest moment, but Ring of Honor was just always kind of, it was the top indies place.
Yeah.
I'm not hating Ring of Honor. I love Ring of Honor. But, I mean that's just kind of what it is. So if you're a WBD and you're looking at the brand power, you look at Ring of Honor, it's like, well, Ring of Honor's been in the business for 20 plus years and hasn't done really anything, to these executives. Whereas AEW has been around for 4 years, and look at all the things they've done. You know what I mean? We could list the accolades. We don't have to here. We know what they are, and that's why. So they're going to want Rampage to be branded as AEW Rampage. Could I be wrong? And they might change their mind. Maybe Tony kind of pushes for it and gets his way. Maybe, sure. But I mean, no, I think that unfortunately they're going to keep doing that as an AEW show. But man, just take an hour of your Ring of Honor tapings, and just do the exact same thing you're doing for Ring of Honor, and just throw it on Rampage, and that's the play. That's what you should be doing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree. So that was really cool tonight also to see a lot of AAA guys with New Japan guys as well. We had New Japan Championship and a AAA Championship being defended. There's all that controversy at Forbidden Door of, maybe the AAA guys and the CMML, I don't even know what the letters are for that one, CMLL guys aren't going to be allowed there because of some politics and all that stuff. So it's nice to see AAA and New Japan together in one building tonight. And again, Coach, you guys did a freaking fantastic job here with the crowd. This crowd was awesome for Dynamite and Rampage. So yeah, Rome, what do we got going for Wednesday? Do we have anything announced for Dynamite yet?
We do, and there was a surprise at the end. I don't know if you saw this, but coming up this Wednesday on Dynamite, we will be hearing from Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I would assume that's going to set up for his Forbidden Door matchup. Ricky Starks is going to be taking on Jay White, where Juice Robinson and FTR are banned from ringside. In a Texas Tornado tag match, we will have Jack Perry and Hook taking on Preston Vance and Drilistico. For the International Championship, Orange Cassidy will defend against Swerve Strickland. And then announced for Friday, July 21st, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor comes to the Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton, New Jersey.
Let's fucking go. So we might be there.
Yeah, we probably will be there. But I think Collision runs literally the next day in
the
Newark.
Same place?
No, in Newark, in Prudential Center. They're running the Prudential Center on that Saturday.
Yeah, Trenton's a lot closer to Newark. I think I would do the Ring of Honor pay-per-view since I haven't been to a Ring of Honor show before.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You haven't been. Yeah. Yeah, but CM Punk's going to be on the Saturday show. See, that's the problem.
Oh, you're right. Shit.
I know. Speaking of CM Punk, following comes from Fightful Select. We got some creative pitches for CM Punk and the backstage reaction following it. CM Punk is headed back to All Elite Wrestling after being out for over 9 months. Immediately after All Out, there were numerous wrestlers that said they would have left the company if Punk came back. Most of those were tied to his words at the scrum as opposed to the brawl itself, of which we've heard that Punk would apologize for the former. Since it became abundantly clear that Punk was coming back, we haven't heard that there are any walkouts planned. Things have absolutely cooled off. AEW has taken measures to make sure as much talent that do have issues with Punk, or other talent for that matter, are kept separately as part of the brand split. One of the ways that this deal came together was Ace Steel being brought back to the company. While most that Fightful spoke to felt like the situation would not have blown up as much if Ace Steel wasn't involved, there were numerous sources who said that Steel's skill set was underestimated by many they've seen online. Steel was seen as a valuable member of the AEW team prior to Brawl Out, as a creative mind and a coach. Originally, we were told that there were heavy pitches for Jericho to work with CM Punk, but we haven't heard anything new on that front for quite some time. Fightful reported that Samoa Joe versus CM Punk was planned for one point, which we have heard was still in the works. However, of late, word is that CM Punk has taken a liking to the work of... Who do you think CM Punk wants to work with, Jeff? Take a guess.
I'm pretty sure I kind of I
Oh, you did?
heard
You
this
saw it?
rumor. I believe it's Jay White.
Yeah, so CM Punk has taken a liking to the work of Switchblade Jay White, and that he could
Yeah.
be an early opponent or program with CM Punk along with the Bullet Club Gold. We're told that despite it largely assumed that CM Punk's return would be May 31st announcement by Tony Khan, almost no one was outright told that was the announcement prior.
I can't wait, man. 17th, baby. Let's go.
Yep, I can't wait either. Very excited. Very, very excited.
All right, man. You got anything else you want to go over tonight here?
No, that's generally
Might
it.
be a nice short and sweet episode, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happens when they have a very wrestling heavy hour
Yeah.
TV slot. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, Michael says he's going to try to be here Wednesday after his recovery from the sinusitis surgery. I hope all goes well on that, man. Good luck. But go ahead and close this out, sir.
Absolutely. Well, this has been episode 147 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you for everyone hanging out with us here tonight. Thanks to Mike. Again, Michael, hopefully everything goes well. Thanks to the Coog, Coach, and everyone else who hung out with us here tonight. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you like video games, we talk about video games on Monday nights here with the Game Room podcast. We will be back Wednesday night for the Dynamite review. Actually, I don't know about that next week, Jeff. But we will be back on Wednesdays, usually talking AEW Dynamite, Fridays talking Rampage. However, I mean, we've talked about here on the show previously, most likely we'll be doing a programming shift once Collision starts, where we'll, instead of doing Wednesdays and Fridays, we'll be doing Dynamite and Collision reviews and talking about Rampage during the Collision review. Follow us in our social medias in the description. Join the Discord, where we have awesome conversations daily. And yeah, see everybody on Monday for the Game Room podcast.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you guys on Monday for the Game Room for sure, right?
Yes. Monday is much more of a lock than Wednesday is right now, but I'll talk to you about it.
Well, as of now, we'll be here on Monday for the Game Room, so come join us for that one. And till next time, top guys out.